to we are. So I'm Tim
Yeah.
Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. I've got with me Ian Simpson, and we're going to talk about exploring crypto. We're going to talk a little bit about crypto. Ian works in the environment. Ian, before we get into that, where can people find you?
Yes. So absolutely great to be on the show today, Tim. Great to be with you. You can find me on LinkedIn. Ian Simpson is my name. No relation to Bart or Homer, just so people know. You can also find me at Ian_Simpson80 on Twitter. And I do have a personal website, iansimpson.ch. iansimpson.ch. So find me there. Also, if you want to read some of the things that I write about and share about, also crypto and different topics, that's great to have you there.
So you don't actually live in Springfield either, do you? You
No,
you live in a place which is like crypto central in Switzerland, don't you?
exactly. So I live right in the central part of Switzerland, and I work here in the city of Zug, Switzerland. And this is what we call Crypto Valley, Switzerland. It's a place which has quite a history, actually going back to 2013, 2014, 2015, with the crypto and blockchain scene, the launch of the Ethereum network here in Zug around this time. So that's where I work. I work at Bitcoin Swiss, which is one of the oldest and largest companies in Switzerland and in Europe, which helps to provide crypto financial services for people interested in crypto assets.
So you've been involved in crypto now for a little while, haven't you? In terms of your career, even though you've done a number of different things, you've come together and now you're very crypto. Talk about your journey, just so that other people, if they're interested in getting into this, what do they need to do?
Sure. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about my personal journey. It's quite interesting. So I grew up in the States, in Indiana, quite a boring place in the middle of cornfields in the Midwest of the U.S. And then in 2008, I came to Europe. I moved to Poland, and I was doing different things. I was teaching English. I was doing different things. I got into startups. And then in 2015, I discovered crypto. And I also discovered someone who I hold very dear in Switzerland. And so that brought me to Switzerland and what is going on in crypto. And that's when I discovered the Crypto Valley ecosystem in Switzerland. And Google actually provided me some very good results when it comes to what is going on in Switzerland. And so I learned a little bit about that, and then moved here in January of 2017 and started working for a company here in Zug, which was investing in early stage startups in the blockchain space. So I was supporting them and helping to grow that. And in 2017, it was actually quite an exciting time in the crypto and blockchain space. There were lots of things going on, lots of people showing up. We organized a very high level event in the early part of November 2017. So just about 4 years ago here in Zug. And there were people knocking on the door, standing on the front step and saying, I want to be at this event. If you don't accept me, I will stand here until kingdom come. And so it was a really exciting time. And so we brought together a lot of people, and there was a lot of inbound interest here into Zug in the blockchain and crypto space. And I was a part of that and observed all of that. And it was a really, really exciting time.
And I'm sure it still is exciting because it's changing all the time.
Exactly.
What's happening right now in your sphere around crypto and blockchain and that? Because I know we're seeing the prices go up and then the prices go down, but putting that to one side, what's your current vision and view of the blockchain and crypto market?
So we see now kind of a second generation. We see Bitcoin was the original one. We see Ethereum, which came after that. Ethereum has strong roots actually here in Switzerland, in Crypto Valley, in Zug. And we see that there are now like next level things happening both on Bitcoin and on Ethereum. So on the Bitcoin side, we just had this past weekend the Taproot upgrade, which brings new levels of security, new levels of scalability to the Bitcoin network. It's the first major upgrade to the Bitcoin network since SegWit in 2017. On the Ethereum side, we see that Ethereum 2 is progressing very, very well. And in the first half of 2022, we expect the merge of the legacy Ethereum blockchain together with the Ethereum 2 beacon chain. And these two things are driving the whole space forward very, very much. Here in Switzerland, we think that these things will accelerate the whole industry forward very much. I mean, on the institutional side, we see more and more interest from banks, private banks, bigger banks, although they might not say this just openly out loud in the public. They have clients who are interested in this space, and crypto assets are coming into their own as far as a new asset class. I think this is something that people really have to understand, that besides bonds, besides equities, besides commodities, ETFs, ETPs, you now have digital native assets on the blockchain which are being traded, and this is a new asset class, and there's a lot of development going on around trading this, and people are very, very interested in this, especially the younger generation. People are interested in having a part of this, accelerating this, and that's where we at Bitcoin Swiss and we here in Switzerland are very, very active.
Because we're seeing advancements. So it was El Salvador, wasn't it, that actually got Bitcoin as a currency? And I know the Bank of England were kind of saying that they're investigating it, but you can imagine the reluctance of big banks with their own currency to suddenly say that crypto is okay. But we are seeing movement in terms of crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, and all of Ethereum, and all of these things gradually becoming more to business as usual rather than being out there on the edges of things.
Yeah, I mean, of course, at the very beginning, it was a little bit, how should we say, scary as far as a new asset, a new monetary system, digitally native. That was something that people were not very comfortable with. Now it's coming forward. Just last week, we at Bitcoin Swiss announced that we are using the latest technology on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is called Bitcoin Lightning, the Lightning Network, which allows people to make transactions for very small amounts for practically no cost. So practically no fees, either on the blockchain or elsewhere. And this is actually the same kind of technology that's being used in El Salvador, as you mentioned. It's also something that we now, as Bitcoin Swiss, are implementing together with our partner Worldline, or Six Payment Services, here in Switzerland. So Worldline has about 85,000 merchants in Switzerland. And these merchants now have the possibility to accept cryptocurrencies and to accept Bitcoin on the Lightning Network, so the second layer level of technology, with very, very low fees. And this is something that's very interesting. So one of the largest museums in Switzerland just last Wednesday started to accept Bitcoin payments on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. And our chairman and founder, Nicholas Nicolaisen, was there. He bought 2 boxes of chocolate, actually, for practically no fee whatsoever, using Bitcoin Lightning. And this was a very exciting development. This is what's going on in El Salvador. And we think that this will also extend into other places, to other merchants around Switzerland, and eventually to Europe. And we're working together with Worldline Payment Services to make that happen.
So you're seeing that Bitcoin and digital payment becoming, a number of us. My partner and I, we've moved over to using our phones to pay for stuff, and because it's a digital wallet, and the digital wallet could be from any bank. It could be crypto. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you. I mean, the reason why we use certain credit cards is that we trust them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're seeing new systems. We're seeing new technology. We're seeing a whole new technology stack develop. I mean, this is now the internet native, or the digital native network of value transfer that is developing. It's still probably, we could say, in early stages. Bitcoin started first, then we had Ethereum, then we now have others. We have Bitcoin Lightning. Ethereum moves to a new implementation. So a lot of things are going on, but this is a new way of value transfer, and there's a technology stack that's standing behind that, and there's a new generation that is thinking about value and thinking about value transfer in a different way. People that grow up native to the internet want to transact on the internet. They want to do things on the internet, buy, sell. They want to play games on the internet. And when they do that, they need to buy and sell things within the game. And there's actually a lot of things going on in the gaming space with cryptocurrencies, because it's seamless. It's digitally native, and you don't have to involve like some bank or something else to support this. And so it's a very exciting space, and we at Bitcoin Swiss are supporting this. We're observing this and helping people get into this space very, very quickly.
And I'm guessing that with Facebook's announcement that they're getting into the Metaverse, this is going to accelerate certain things, because I know you can use PayPal, for example, as a way of getting international transfers and stuff. But this is with more and more people using the Metaverse. This is going to accelerate crypto use, surely.
Yeah, I mean, so Facebook is a large player. That's something that we cannot dispute, actually. When they move into the space, when they move into the Metaverse, we have to pay attention. There are some people who say that this is a kind of digital land grab. In other words, that Facebook wants to move into the space and claim areas and set up systems within the virtual world so that they can extend their advertising business model in this space. I can imagine that to be very true, and that would make logical business sense, so to speak. But I think on a higher level, there are many players working to promote a truly decentralized metaverse. Decentraland is a space, actually a project which Bitcoin Swiss supported several years ago when it launched. And people now move into this space. They set themselves up. They promote the things and display the things which they are building and doing in this space. And I think, at the end of the day, businesses, companies have competition. I believe personally, very strongly, that decentralized applications and decentralized systems will win out over centralized ones. Also because they offer more freedom and more flexibility. But we have to see how that develops. Facebook has a lot of weight behind it, a lot of capital. They say that they're going to spend 10 billion a year to promote themselves in the metaverse. That's very significant capital, actually. But whether people actually buy into that vision, we have to wait and see.
It does seem like big tech, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple have decided to park their tanks on the Metaverse, and there's going to be a some sort of war going on between them, because they all compete with each other. But certainly we there's as we move towards more Web 3.0 applications and decentralization, they have a problem, which is that actually their legacy, and they need to change. So go on.
Yeah, I think that's some kind of a baggage that Facebook or Meta, as they're now called, has to deal with. How do they actually view the end user? Do they view this end user as someone which they can exploit and someone which is just a customer, or do they view this person as a full participant in the network? And I think this is where the metaverse or decentralized networks actually raise things to a higher level, because people, can either contribute value or have value or transact value in this system. And it's not just one company which controls everything and which can then distribute value or manage that on their own. So I think this is something that Facebook has to consider. They have perhaps their own business ideas. Of course, they have a responsibility to their shareholders, you could say. But I think things are changing. Jack Dorsey at Twitter has perhaps a slightly different view. He's now building out a crypto team at Twitter. They have many projects going on. He's a very strong believer in Bitcoin, and there's integrations going on with Twitter. So I think this is going to be a very interesting space, the social network and the digital value space. When these two things come together, it's going to be a very, very interesting development.
So what's your view on NFTs and where we are with that? Because that's kind of exploded, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, many people say that NFTs today are at the same point that ICOs were in 2017, early 2018. And in many ways, I personally could agree with that. I came here to Switzerland at the beginning of 2017, just before the big boom when it came to ICOs. And we saw many companies who brought a white paper, they brought some ideas, but nothing too concrete, and they raised a lot of money, and they didn't really develop things too far. So I think it's pretty clear that we have a hype, we have a lot of buzz around NFTs. But what's important to consider or to remember is that it is a significant innovation. When you have an NFT, basically what you have is a way to verify an identity of a thing or an event or something which you can point to. You have an identity. You assign an identity to it, and that identity is then recorded on the blockchain in a network that's not controlled by a single entity. And if you think about, I'm sitting now here and there's a chair across from me. If I were to assign an identity to that chair, well, then I could do many different things with that chair. I could charge people money for sitting in that chair. I could assign a value to that chair and then borrow against the value of that chair. I could do different things. Now you can extrapolate that into larger pieces of artwork, to different things like NBA Top Shot, which is quite a popular project which is going on. And then you have that identity on the blockchain, and that proofable identity opens up many different possibilities. I think personally we are in a hype. Valuations for some pieces of artwork in the NFT space are perhaps a bit too high, maybe you could say, but not for me to say. Markets have to decide that. But I think eventually we will understand that this is a very significant innovation, and it will be extrapolated into many different areas, maybe even into capital markets eventually.
Right. So, I mean, it's an exciting area then, isn't it, really?
Definitely.
So,
And
sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in terms of, are there any, if you had a crystal ball and you were going to look into it and you were going to talk about something futures, what do you think that you would see?
As far as NFTs,
the whole of crypto, blockchain, NFT, the whole lot. What would you see? What we're going to do in the future, 10 years away?
Okay, 10 years out, hard for me to say. I think you will see a lot more participation from persons and entities, and you will see entities and people interacting in ways which they have never done before. So you have NFTs, you have DAOs, you have smart contracts, you have technology empowering many different people and many different entities to interact automatically and with a level of trust that they never had before. So say an NFT which is on the blockchain, which then is put out and is bought, a song or some video clip. It's owned by a certain person, but the originator or the creator was someone else. And that person can then, thanks to that digital identity on the blockchain, which is also tied to a smart contract, that person can then receive royalties for every person that views that video clip or every person that interacts with that piece of digital art. Now that's quite interesting, because that's something that is not controlled by any central entity. And there are new revenue streams which are opened up by that. Like that creator then has a possibility to earn on this side, on this side, on this side. And all of that is powered by new technology. So I think that's a little bit the direction that we're going. Of course, crypto assets as a new asset class, that's also developing. That's what we see here in Switzerland at Bitcoin Swiss and in other places. People now really understand that in this low interest rate environment, where are you going to find yield? Where are you going to see growth? What is the next big thing? And now people are willing to perhaps invest in digital assets, crypto assets, where they wouldn't have been before. So on that level, I think we see a professionalization also for crypto assets. And there is technology which supports that. There are new exchange traded products, ETPs, which are helping to get people into the space. ETFs, a little bit of controversy around that in the US, but things move forward. So it's kind of from both sides, it's coming together. And I think, at the end of the day, it is the future.
Ian, thank you so much for coming on today. Fascinating discussion, and I'm sure this is, we'll listen to this in a year and think how much has changed, because this is just accelerating so fast, especially with all of the big companies basically now piling in development dollars. It's gonna really accelerate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, as I said, I came and got into the space in late 2016, early 2017. That's about 4 years ago. The changes, the developments, the acceleration that we've seen in this space in that time, 4 years more or less, is pretty amazing. So if we take that 4 years into the future, I don't think any of us really know how far it can go. And it's going to be quite exciting.
So remind people where they can get hold of you.
Yeah, so iansimpson.ch, that's my website. Also check me out on LinkedIn, Ian Simpson, IAN, just to be clear, and Simpson like Bart and Homer. I'm also on Twitter. You can find me there, Ian_Simpson 80. Yes, that is the year I was born. So check me out there. and happy to keep in touch and follow all the exciting things going on in the space, and keeping in touch with you, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you, Ian, for coming on today. It's been fascinating and some really great comments in that. Obviously, there's a number of people that have got some value out of this. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
And let's get in touch.
Very good. Talk
Thanks,
soon.
Ian.